Sup people, this is Bootie. I just wanted to do a little update real quick. Tell you guys what I've been up to recently. So, first of all, I am gonna have more episodes. Well, probably just one episode of the Dark Souls playthrough. The Drunken playthrough coming up soon. I got the footage downloaded. Unfortunately, it's gonna have to be cut real short because apparently my brother accidentally deleted information from the PS4, wiped it clean, so all the footage is gone except what I already downloaded, so that sucks. In other news, I've been building up a bit of a PS1 collection recently. Maybe one day I can actually show it off proper. I've been getting a lot of games just off of eBay, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but it's a rant for another time, I suppose. But yeah, what I really want to talk about, really want to just dig right into, is this game that I just tried today. I've actually had this game for about a week or two. Excuse me. I am a little bit sick, which is the main reason I haven't really been doing videos lately, so I guess I shouldn't be talking at all. I should be resting, but fuck it, whatever. If I can go to work in spite of being sick, I can handle talking for a couple minutes, right? But yeah, anyways, I got this game just off of eBay a couple weeks ago, and I finally decided to play it today. It's something called Alone in the Dark, One-Eyed Jack's Revenge, also known as Alone in the Dark 2. Apparently, this is basically a console port of a PC-DOS game. And if you haven't heard of Alone in the Dark, basically it's this really old school kind of... It's sort of a survival horror game like a Resident Evil or Silent Hill, but it's more of like just a 3D adventure game with a little bit of horror elements. Granted, I didn't play a ton of it, but anyways, I'm definitely gonna have to edit some of this shit out, because I keep fucking coughing, but yeah, I've heard about Alone in the Dark, and I'm a big fan of survival horror games, right? I love Resident Evil, I love the old school Silent Hill games, and I always heard that Alone in the Dark is the series that is basically what inspired games like Resident Evil to come into being. It's sort of the big stepping stone from old school adventure games, point and click and shit, into evolving into a completely different genre, or just a one-off of adventure games, into the horror genre eventually. Alone in the Dark is the first game to really do that, and it's even it's created by something called Infogrames, or is that Infogames? Infogames or something? It's the fucking Armadillo company. If you don't know who they are, basically they're this company that is well known for making mostly point-and-click adventure games. I played a couple of their games, and for the time it's pretty good, most of their titles. So I was expecting a ton going into this game. I just bought it as a big fan of survival horror, and I was expecting basically a masterpiece. I know that it's dated, I know that, you know, it's not perfect. I can tell by just looking at it, it ain't gonna be perfect. I knew it was gonna be a little bit clunky, but even then, like, this is very different from how I expected it to be. So, first of all, this game runs like shit. That's my first problem. The intro starts, you don't know what the fuck's going on, there's no real explanation to it. There's this old guy walking in this mansion that apparently has a fucking pirate in it, and it's overrun with these weird green and blue zombie guys. And granted, keep in mind, I haven't really played the original game either, at all, actually. I probably should emulate it sometime. Unfortunately, there isn't a PS1 version. I don't think there's any console version of Alone in the Dark, I could be wrong there. But it seems like one of those DOS-only kind of games. Maybe one day I can download DOSBox and rock those kinds of games again, because, to be honest, I kinda miss those games. They're really nostalgic. I didn't grow up with them, but it's interesting to see how just the gaming industry changed over time. But yeah, getting off topic, so, you don't know what's going on, and this is one of those games where you absolutely need the fucking manual to get any idea of how the game works, Not just in terms of the story, but, you know, in terms of the controls. I actually do have the manual, luckily. I didn't actually bother reading it before I started playing. I guess, in retrospect, I could have done that. But at the same time, it's like, you shouldn't have to fucking do that. You know, I mean, I can accept that for storyline, whatever. And I'm sure there is a story explanation in here. Well, actually, I'm looking at the manual now, and it doesn't... I'm just skimming it. And yeah, the company's name is actually Infogrames. Or Infograms, I'm not sure how you would pronounce that. Okay, yeah, it doesn't actually explain the story in the manual, that's kind of funny. But, in my opinion, especially for a PS1 game, like, I can accept it to an extent for, like, a fucking DOS game or something. But, for console games in particular, if you can't explain how the fucking game works in the game itself, if the player has to look at a manual that they may or may not own, then that's fucking dumb. Especially for fucking PS1 standards. You're gonna tell me that the PS1 can't explain how the game works within the game? You know? Like, you can just have a tutorial button in the game or something. I mean, even on DOS, I think there shouldn't be any games that don't try to explain how they work. But yeah, anyways, so what the fuck am I even talking about? So, let's get back to the intro. This intro, it ends with this guy looking at this fucking kid, I don't know if it's his daughter, or just a child. I don't even know if it's in a baby's crib, so I guess it's supposed to be a baby, even though it looks like a fucking monstrosity. I understand that this game is old, but Jesus fucking Christ, the faces in this game are really, really bad. Like, I'm almost wondering if it's supposed to be as terrifying as it is in the game. And trust me, if you watch the intro, you know what I'm fucking talking about. And it ends with, I think it's supposed to be a witch. She controls this puppet, or this clown, this doll, to get up and kill the guy. It chokes him to death. Very awkwardly. Another thing about the intro, that this is the first sign that something is wrong with the game, honestly. As soon as the intro starts, like, from the beginning to the end, there's lag, and stutter, and the game has to load every 5 seconds. You know, character walks, and then all of a sudden, game loading, and it awkwardly pauses. And then he walks another 5 steps. Up, game's gotta load again. Okay, then another 5 steps. Up, the game's gotta load again. Okay, the guy, especially when the guy gets killed, like, it's incredibly awkward, because it's supposed to be creepy and smooth, but it's constantly interrupted by the loading. And it's like, I don't know about the development of this game, or how exactly it came into being, but considering that this is a PS1 game that I just bought, it's kind of fucking retarded that it has to load. Like, it just can't handle it. You know? Like, you really should just have better technology for it. I don't know if the PC version of this game is better, technically speaking, but the PS1 version is just ridiculous. Like, it's... You'd swear that Bethesda made it or some shit. That's how fucking bad it is. Or actually, I don't even know. Like, even Bethesda isn't that fucking bad at programming games. And then, you know, you get to the actual game. There's this guy that you still have no idea who the fuck it is. He blows up this gate and he goes to the mansion, probably to avenge the guy that just got choked to death. And then the game just kind of just starts. It's not even clear or obvious in any conceivable way that the game is starting. Because... see, there's not, like, any real indication. There's no real way to tell the difference between a cutscene or the actual gameplay. So, you're just watching it, assuming it's all gonna play out automatically. You know, he knocks out this guy, this zombie, and then the zombie starts getting up and he's just standing in place, and the other guy isn't doing anything, and you're just like, what are you doing, dude? And then it dawns on you, oh shit, I guess I'm supposed to do something here. Now, to begin with, I don't actually hate it when games start off with the action. I mean, it's incredibly awkward for, like, getting used to the controls, but I've seen games do it well. Like Resident Evil 2, I think is a really good example of how to do that properly. But Resident Evil 2, for the most part, is a lot fucking simpler than Alone in the Dark is, just in terms of the controls. What you're supposed to do is you need to kill the zombie, like, immediately. But you don't know how to fucking open the inventory unless you read the manual before you actually start the game up. You don't know how to open the inventory, you don't know how to fight, and you're just stumbling around like a fucking idiot. And, you know, I just barely kill him by, like, fisting him, punching him in the face. Well, it's not really punching, it's more like karate chopping. It's really dumb and weird. Some headbutting. You know, it doesn't really look like a headbutt. It kind of looks like your character's having a seizure, and he's, like, accidentally hitting the zombie, and the zombie gets knocked out. You know, you run up to him, you pick up his fucking Tommy gun, which is pretty cool. You pick up a bunch of items, and you do have a moment to, like, try to figure out how the controls work, and it's the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Like, you'd think that just trying to attack would be as simple as holding down R1 and pressing the action button, the X button. But it's not. First of all, you have to equip the gun, but it doesn't actually say equip or anything. It says use, which is an awkward word to use because it doesn't really make sense. You don't, I mean, I guess you use guns, but you don't say, I'm gonna use gun, I'm gonna equip gun. But that's incredibly nitpicky. But anyways, you try to shoot your gun, you press X, R1X, nothing happens. And then, until it dawns on you, wait a moment, I was shooting earlier, what the fuck's going on here? So you try pushing a bunch of different buttons, and then you press the fucking D-pad, the up arrow on the D-pad, and that shoots. And it's like, am I in the Twilight Zone right now? Did I really just shoot my gun by holding R1 and pressing up arrow? That makes no sense whatsoever. But it gets weirder. There's actually two different ways that you can fire your guns in this game. By either holding R1 and pressing the D-pad, or by holding R1 and then holding the X button. I can understand that to an extent for a Tommy gun, but it applies to the pistol as well, and it's very weird. It takes a lot of getting used to. And then you try to do the melee attacks, and it's like, the X button isn't really working, and apparently every arrow on the D-pad does a different attack. So like, you do a left karate chop, you do a right karate chop, the up arrow is the headbutt, and then if you press down, you do this stupid fucking kick that's kind of funny. But anyways, then you're like, okay, let's just run ahead, figure out what I'm supposed to even do, let's progress. You walk up to these zombies, and you know, my first instinct is I have a Tommy gun, I have a pistol, I shoot them, and that's when the horrifying nature of the aiming comes into play. Because this game doesn't have auto-aim. And it's not like Resident Evil where the hit scan or the hitbox or whatever is so big that it doesn't really matter if it doesn't have auto-aim. Like in Resident Evil, even if you have auto-aim turned off, it's not that bad. You know, unless you're using specific weapons, like a projectile gun, you have a lot of room to shoot enemies. In this game, it's really, really specific. Like, you need to be dead accurate, 100% accuracy, and because of the camera perspective, it's very hard to tell, you know, where your character, first of all, where your character is aiming, and second, where he is aiming, you know, in relation to where the fucking enemy is. So you'll miss a lot of shots in this game, between the narrow hitbox and your character turns so slow anyways, it just doesn't really feel good. Like, even for, like, old-school survival horror games, it doesn't feel good. You know, I play Resident Evil, and, like, yeah, it's not fucking Gears of War or some shit, but, you know, the shooting feels good, it feels successful, it feels satisfying. And it's actually pretty straightforward and simple. It's intuitive, not so much in this game. However, there's another element to this game that really fucking drives me crazy, and, like, this is actually so bad that I think it might actually be a glitch. I hope to God it's a glitch, because I don't know what the fuck the developers were smoking if it's not a glitch. For some reason, every time, and I don't mean sometimes, okay, like every once in a while, every fucking time you kill an enemy in this game, the most obnoxious, it's like nails on a chalkboard, just this horrible metal scraping noise as their bodies or their corpses just as they despawn. And, you know, thank God I don't have headphones on or anything, but even on speakers, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. What even is that? It doesn't even make any sense. You know, why is there a random metal scraping noise when the characters die, when the zombies get killed? And it kind of just makes you wonder, like, why didn't they fix something like that? I don't think it is a glitch. Like, my disc is perfect. You know, there's not a single scratch on my disc. You know, other than the fingerprint from when I fucking angrily grabbed the disc and pulled it out of my PS1 because I was getting so fucking sick of the game. Like, I tried to play this game for 30 minutes, and I just wanted to kill myself. It's not even funny. This is so janky and awkward and clunky to control. And there are zombies with Tommy guns that can just stun lock you to death. You get your first puzzle, and you walk up to these fucking... What is it? It's like Solaire cards or something. A bunch of different symbols on them. You touch one of them just casually without, you know, really thinking about it, and you just die instantly. And that's another thing, is you die really, really easily in this game. Now, I don't mind trial and error, however, two big things that make it very annoying in this game. First of all, the game lags constantly. It's not just the intro. Every time you take a step in this game, there's stutter, there's lag. It's unbelievable. It is almost unplayable. That's how bad it is. And God forbid you're, like, changing camera perspectives. Because by that point, the game just starts fucking shitting itself. The frame rate gets so terrible that the game, like, borderline freezes. And you have to sit there waiting. You know, you gotta sit there for fucking 40 minutes. Like, okay, can I play the game now? Okay, thank God the camera managed to change. It just barely did it. But we got there. And on top of that, like, saving in this game is really weird. Like, you can't override your save progress in this game, as far as I could tell. There's an option for something called formatting, but nothing for overriding. So what you actually have to do is... Let me see if the manual actually says anything about saving. Nope. Doesn't look like it says shit. So yeah, the manual doesn't say anything. The manual doesn't say anything about trying to make the saving more convenient on yourself. But basically, every time you want to save in this game, you can't just override save progress like in literally every other PS1 game, let alone every video game ever made. Instead, what you have to do is you save, assuming you have enough space on your memory card, and then if you want to save again, because I like barely have enough space on my memory card to save like one time. So every time I need to replace my save, if I want to save a checkpoint, I basically have to go into the save menu, delete my Alone in the Dark save file, and then save again. Just start all anew. It's slow, it's awkward, and I've never seen a game do that before. It's at least the worst PS1 game I played in a while, if not the worst video game I've ever played. Like, I would much rather play Dark Souls 2 than this shit, and I complain about how games like Kingsfield have performance issues, but I'd rather play Kingsfield than this. You know, Kingsfield runs at 15 frames a second, 10 frames a second, but at least it doesn't fucking freeze, it doesn't stutter all the time, as opposed to this game, where it's like it has fucking schizophrenia, you know, or it's just bipolar. You know, for 1 second, it's really smooth and quick, and responsive. Other second, it's constantly freezing every time you try to move around. It's horrible. And it's pervasive throughout the entire game, as far as I could tell. Or at least as far as I played. As far as I could stomach. Which is a shame, because I was really looking forward to this game. I was expecting a bona fide classic, a flawed masterpiece, I guess. What I got was a fucking shit sandwich. The cover art is really good, the presentation on the disc, on the CD case and the manual that comes with it is good, but the game itself is just rubbish. Again, maybe the PC version is better, but... So yeah, I just wanted to get that off my mind. I'll probably keep this game around just for the hell of it. Maybe sometime I can give it a second go and see if I can get much further, but probably not anytime soon. Yeah, anyways, this is Bootie signing off. I hope you guys have a good day, and hopefully I can get past my stupid fucking cold. I can start making videos again, because I miss you guys, all the viewers, all the fans. You know, have a good day. Peace.